In this video series, we look at job descriptions like this one. And here we see they are looking for a JavaScript front-end developer. So I thought, hey, why don't we talk about front-end developers? Who is a front-end developer? So you guys, recruiters, understand a little better what are the skills a front-end developer should have. So looking at the three IT layers, front-end, backend, and storage, right? Front-end is what you as a user can see. Backend is some service on the server, somewhere in the cloud. And storage could be a database where the data are saved, right? So the front-end developer takes care of the front-end system, right? So what you can see at the front-end system. In another video, I talked about web developers. So web developers usually take care of all the three layers, front-end, back-end, and storage, also on a very, say, shallow level. So I would, look at it on a scale from not difficult to very difficult, from no hardcore to very hardcore. A web developer would be somewhere here. Web development, using all these technologies, all the content management systems out there, it's not really difficult. It's not a hardcore development. A web developer can just pick a few solutions, integrate them together, and boom, there is a website. There's some web, some easy e-commerce store using one of those pre-made e-commerce platforms. So it's not really difficult. However, with the front-end developers, with the specialized front-end developers, we move a little further, and the difficulty increases. So see, the web developer was a generalist who is able to work on both front-end, back-end, and storage, and the front-end developer specializes. He specializes only on the front-end development. So now let's look at what are some of the skills the front-end developer should have. So first, HTML and CSS, that's a no-brainer, but I still listed here just to tell you guys this is a no-brainer. That's something, in my opinion, shouldn't be even listed on a job description, because it's like, if you hire a copywriter, you would also not list in a job description like, hey, I need a copywriter who is able to read. That just doesn't make sense, right? So why to write, hey, I'm looking for a front-end developer who is able to write HTML and CSS. That's just no-brainer. Let's skip it. So we focus on what really matters. JavaScript frameworks. Well, a front-end developer should clearly use some of these or even all of these languages at some point in time. Angular, Ember, React. These are trending languages. Vue.js, I could also add. So React.js, Ember.js, Angular are some of the most popular frameworks, JavaScript frameworks that make the life of a developer easier, because thanks to frameworks, developers don't need to recreate the functionality all over again. They just use the framework that is already out there, developed by the community of developers, and can use it for free. Like, how cool is this, right? Next skill, to use front-end frameworks such as Bootstrap. Now, see, JavaScript frameworks are Angular, Ember, and React, and front-end frameworks are Bootstrap. So front-end framework is a HTML, CSS framework that already includes some functionality to, for example, responsive, to make the websites responsive. So otherwise, if a developer doesn't use this framework, then he or she needs to write all the scripts so that the website would be responsive, which is just a waste of time. Like, why to recreate what someone else has been already working on for years? Let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's use what is already out there. And Bootstrap is clearly the best front-end framework out there. CSS preprocessors, well, again, we are looking at someone who can optimize, who can build bigger websites, someone who can build e-commerce stores, and those need to know, for example, a SAS or less. These are two preprocessors that make the use of CSS a little easier. So I mentioned I wouldn't highlight the need to know CSS, because that's just obvious, goes without saying. Instead, I would highlight, hey, we are looking for someone who uses CSS preprocessors, less, or SAS, or both. A front-end developer should be able to work with APIs. It doesn't mean he or she needs to build the APIs, because APIs are a backend thing, but the developer needs to be able to make the front-end website live using APIs. So he needs to be able to integrate APIs that someone else has already worked on. Testing and debugging, the more complicated website, the more complex the e-commerce store, the more testing and debugging is needed. So obviously this is one of the skills necessary. Speaking of complexity, if we have a complex front-end website, we also need to integrate continuous integration, continuous delivery. This is a big thing these days. So any change is deployed to production environment automatically. It's tested automatically, and the Git is a version control system which is used even by front-end developers. It also goes without saying, so I would highlight it maybe like this. I would just, it goes without saying. This also goes without saying. I just listed here, so the list is relatively complete. But I wouldn't ask this during an interview. I wouldn't ask this, in a JD. This requirement, in my opinion, doesn't make sense, because like everyone these days uses Git, so you can use Subversion. But again, yeah, I don't know many people using Subversion these days. Anyway, all right. So this is what you need to know as a recruiter about front-end development compared to web developers. Like web developers work with front-end, back-end storage, usually on a shallow level. So they create a website using WordPress, pre-made themes, templates, and maintain it. While as soon as a company needs say more complex solution, e-commerce store, a page that is visited by 1 million users per month, then it needs to really tweak, polish every single detail, needs to make it pixel perfect. And that's where a front-end developer, a dedicated, specialized front-end developer come into place. A developer who can use JavaScript frameworks and front-end frameworks and CSS preprocessors, and works in a continuous integration, continuous delivery environment. So in other words, DevOps environment. All right, so I hope this is clear. If not, please ask me questions below this video. So I'll wrap it up now, and I totally encourage you to share this video with your friends and colleagues, so they can also learn how to hire front-end developers. That's something we talk about in the next video. So please go ahead and subscribe to receive and watch the next video.